Last night, if I thought Trump's phone call with the Ukrainian president was an act of corruption, I think it can definitely be viewed that way. But what are your thoughts? Okay, Red Pill. I think I was actually watching your stream, and I was like, oh, man. I wanted to get in on it. I was like, absolutely not act of corruption, Red Pill. It was not Trump asking for a personal favor. It's complete bogus that that's somehow asking for a personal favor. It's like, just because, it's like, no, like, asking Ukraine to help out with investigating corruption committed by Democrats is legal, it's proper, and Trump has a moral and ethical obligation to do so. Trump ran on draining the swamp. When Trump gets to Washington, D.C., he's going to drain the swamp, including going after swamp rats like Joe Biden. Joe Biden is not immune from prosecution just because he is a Democrat running for office. Trump did nothing wrong on that phone call. It's a perfectly fine phone call. It's like, just because there's some incidental political benefit to Trump if Ukraine does an investigation of Biden doesn't mean that, you know, Trump can't do it. That would basically mean, okay, then Trump can never do anything in office that has a personal benefit to him, which is completely ridiculous. And it's like, the Ukraine and America, we have a treaty together where we're required to help each other and help each other on investigations of criminal acts and corruption and everything else. And Trump withholding the aid is totally consistent with Trump's foreign policy of wanting the other parts of Europe to foot the bill for all of this security. And Trump's sick of America being the one to constantly paying for all of Europe's security without ever getting so much as a thanks, let alone them contributing money. And so I don't think it was corruption or abuse of power whatsoever for Trump to ask Ukraine to help investigate Joe Biden. Joe Biden by all appearance, it looks like Joe Biden committed the crime of bribery by forcing Ukraine to fire the prosecutor who was investigating Burisma and corruption at the company that his son had a corrupt deal with. And that's perfectly reasonable. Like, I don't even understand. Like, these Democrats, they say the same like campaign slogan, the same like trope and little like saying, Trump abused his office for personal political gain. I don't disagree with you, but would Trump have made that request if, say, Joe Biden was retired? I don't think so. That's a good question. I don't think we know. I think it's possible that he still would have. And this is the whole, like, this is why the whole issue of that whole phone call is basically what was in Trump's mind at the time. It's a matter of intent. If Trump's mindset was, I want to do this, you know, not because I actually think that there was any corruption there. I don't think that Biden did anything wrong. I'm doing this just to help out my own campaign. Then that's a, corrupt intent, and that's bad. If Donald Trump's intent was, hey, this seems super duper sketchy. This looks like a violation of law. This looks like corruption. I want to go after it for the purposes of going after corruption, which is consistent with American foreign policy and America's national security interests, then that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I'm saying, like, I said on like this other podcast when I was debating this issue, it's like, you don't know what was in Trump's mind. Was Trump 50% of his mind was thinking, this is actual corruption. We need to investigate it. And was 50% of his mind thinking, oh, okay, this might be good for my campaign. And in my mind, it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like, even if there's a tiny little bit of Trump's mind that's saying, this is good for my campaign, as long as there's some element of actual truth there and actual proper legal intent, proper intent to actually go after corruption as opposed to just do it for his own political campaign, then It's okay. And it's like maybe Trump wouldn't have done it if Joe Biden wasn't running for office, but that also, if Biden wasn't running for office, then it's not as big of a national security concern for the United States because we don't have a corrupt person potentially becoming president here. Yeah, red pill. You can certainly say it's sketchy. You can say it's unethical, but it's not a high crime or misdemeanor. It's completely outrageous. There's no evidence of it. Yeah, it is. It is tough to assess the situation as fairly as possible. But that's the thing, dude. It's very difficult to gauge intent and to sit here and say with 100% certainty we know for sure that Donald Trump had no proper intent with any of this stuff. And it's like, totally agree, thanks for the explanation. Yeah, red pill. I wish I could do I feel like I'm not explaining it as best as I can, actually, as in the best way possible. But the point is like, dude, Donald Trump has the full legitimacy and the full backing of the American people behind his foreign policy. Donald Trump was elected by the American people to conduct foreign policy. Yeah, maybe if Joe Biden wasn't running for president, the American government's investigation into Joe Biden's corruption wouldn't have gone up to the level of the government. Maybe it would have stayed at a low-level FBI official or DOJ official or maybe up to the Attorney General. But now when it's a presidential candidate and potentially going to become president, and this is a corrupt dude, a swamp rat, this is a swamp guy, now it's risen up to the level of the president. NBB64, thank you for the follow. I think your explanation was great. I totally get what you're saying. Thank you, Red Pill. I appreciate that. And it's just like the thing is like, look at it from the other side. Pogmice, thank you for the follow. Look at it from the other side. If we're gonna say, okay, Blue Visor, thank you for the follow. Follow was rolling in hot. If we're going to say that the president cannot investigate Democrats that are running for office because that's his personal political campaign, it's like, let's say you're president of the United States and there's a bunch of Democrats running for office, and it comes up that, man, looks like some of these Democrats have committed crimes in the past. We should invest. Does that mean that the president we can't investigate them? They're Democrats running for office. We can't investigate them. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. Of course, Democrats are not immune. Democrats are not above the law. Democrats can be investigated corruption. And look, I'm sorry. If the president has the opportunity to conduct foreign policy with respect to focusing on corruption and focus on Democrats who are running for president, or focus on some random person who has no influence in the world or nothing else, it's the president's prerogative to try to focus on the Democrats who are running for office who have committed crimes in the past. They're not above the law. And it's like, yeah, it's fine to say it's shady. It's totally fine to say what Trump did is shady or sketchy or whatever. It's not a high crime or misdemeanor. It's not impeachable. It's a policy difference. This is the thing, Red Pill. It's a policy difference. They don't like Trump's foreign policy. They're all mad that Trump has his own personal emissaries in Rudy Giuliani and is conducting foreign policy. And it's like, American presidents have always had personal emissaries to help them conduct foreign policy. Trump is the one that gets to set foreign policy, not a bunch of career bureaucrats and career, officials in state and the intelligence agency and everything else. Donald Trump sets policy, not Congress, not the deep state. Nobody else sets policy. Trump sets policy. You think his policies, you don't like his policy? You have ways to try to influence it through Congress passing laws, including passing laws that say there's strings attached to how this money gets spent and this money has to go for XYZ purpose. But the thing is that mostly what Congress does is they pass these laws that give the president incredible wide power to do whatever he wants in foreign policy and impounding funds. And withholding aid for security reasons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so really what this comes down to is they just don't like Trump's foreign policy. And it's like, you can think it's sketchy all you want, but Trump also has that. That's why it's so important to investigate Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, because it'll prove that there was actually a legitimate reason for the request. The thing is if I would think that it would be impeachable if Donald Trump said, hey, Ukraine, I know that Joe Biden has never done anything wrong. Joe Biden is clean as the wind-driven snow. Joe Biden has never done anything corrupt. I want you to dig up dirt on Joe Biden and make it up. And just make up something about Joe Biden. Make up a lie about Joe Biden that he's corrupt. Report that publicly, and if you don't do it, then I'm not going to give you aid. Then that's bad. That might be impeachable. That you could probably get a super majority of Americans to support impeachment on that idea. That's not at all what happened. That's not even close to what happened. First of all, there was no quid pro quo. There was no pressure. All he did was ask Ukraine to work with the U.S. Attorney General on investigating corruption of a previous American official, which is completely fine. Completely okay. Completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You mean like what the made-up dossier? Exactly. So the thing is this impeachment thing, it's like it's not going anywhere. The Dems can barely get a simple majority to favor impeachment, let alone, 2/3 of the U.S. Senate. It's not going to happen. There's too much, there's legitimate reasons behind what Trump did. You can say it's sketchy all you want. You can say it's shady all you want. But there are actually legitimate reasons behind investigating Joe Biden and what he did and what Hunter Biden was doing in Ukraine. And Ukraine did interfere in the 2016. Oh, this is what it was, Red Pill. I just remembered, Red Pill. This is what it was. So this is the thing that I wanted to say last night during your stream when you guys were talking about this. Ukraine did interfere in the 2016 election. Ukrainian government officials published and promoted disparaging information and made up information about Paul Manafort, who was Donald Trump's campaign manager, specifically to hurt Donald Trump during the campaign. And there's a here we go. There's this is the main article right here that all of the Republicans and everybody else have been talking about, and this is the Ukrainian and Democrat collusion. Democrats and Ukraine colluded during the 2016 election to have the Ukrainians interfere in the American elections. That's why it's so ridiculous, and why when Donald Trump said, hey, there's a lot of problems in the United States and corruption and a lot of bad things happened in 2016, and Ukraine knows a lot about it, this is what he was talking about. And it's perfectly rational. But when you've got Ukrainian officials to sabotage Trump backfire, Kyiv officials are scrambling to make amends with the president-elect after quietly working to boost Clinton. By Kenneth Vogel and David Stern, January 2017, right after the 2016 election. Donald Trump wasn't the only presidential candidate whose campaign was boosted by officials of a former Soviet bloc country. Ukrainian government officials tried to help Hillary Clinton and undermine Trump by publicly questioning his fitness for office. They also disseminated documents implicating a top Trump aide in corruption and suggested they were investigating the matter only to back away after the election. And they helped Clinton's allies research damaging information on Trump and his advisors, a Politico investigation reported. So there's literally a Politico investigation that discovered that the Democrats and Clinton were colluding with Ukraine and Ukrainian officials during the 2016 election. So you take that, it's known. This is undisputed fact. It's known that the Democrats colluded with Ukraine in the 2016 election. And it's like, okay, and Donald Trump knew this. So Donald Trump knows that the Democrats and the Ukrainians are corrupt and colluding, and they tried to take him out in 2016 and did. There's a whole article on all of this stuff. You guys should all read this entire Politico article. It's a massive, massive long article. The headline is that Ukrainians and the Democrats colluded and were corrupt. And so, of course, it's completely rational and reasonable for Donald Trump to say, wait, hold on, Ukraine. We're about to give you a whole bunch of money in military aid. It's known that Ukrainians and Democrats colluded in the 2016 campaign to take me out. And it's known that Joe Biden had the prosecutor fired who was investigating Joe Biden's son. And it's known that Joe Biden's son was getting $50,000, $80,000 a month from a corrupt Ukrainian gas company, even though he had zero evidence or zero experience or knowledge about the industry. And it's like... Touring News, thanks for hanging out, man. Sorry, I haven't been following chat at all. I've just been ranting. I haven't been paying attention to what you guys are chatting about in there. I hope you guys have been having fun. Thank you, though. So, I mean, like the whole... Thank you, Red Pill Game. It's a really good point. Actually, it explains why Trump's focus would be on Biden. Exactly, Red Pill. And so, keep ranting. Thank you, Touring News. I think the problem is there's so much context that people don't know. This explains a lot. Right, Red Pill. I think that's what it is. And this is the context that I thought needed to be brought up in your debate with that Facebook lefty, whoever that was. And it's like, honestly, like, it just makes perfect sense, dude, why Trump would have said, hey, Ukraine knows a lot about some corruption issues. Like, let's go after him. And so... yeah, I don't know if I need to say anything more, but this Politico article from January 2017 proves beyond a doubt that the Democrats in Ukraine colluded to take out Trump in 2016, and so of course Trump is going to be suspicious of Ukrainian Democrat corruption and wanting to look into it. And it's like, just because that would incidentally or somehow help his campaign doesn't matter. The fact is that there was legitimate reasons for him doing it. Democrats are not above the law. So anyway, that's my like 20-minute, 30-minute long answer to the whole impeachment thing. Thank you, Living Martyr. So the Democrats are corrupt. The Democrats are completely corrupt. Yo, Red Pill with the 300 bits. Thanks for that fat, juicy Red Pill. Thank you. Thank you, Red Pill. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that so much.